Hello everyone, welcome back to Art Appreciation. So for this video, what I'm going to be talking about is our one major project for this semester. And I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot to cover, but then I'm also going to show you, where we can acquire some of our information for this project through the library database website and everything like that. So, jumping on in, this is going to be an artwork analysis project. The project itself is going to be located on the lessons page of our Blackboard page. So I ask that you go and you download this document for your own reference. It's got information on it that will suit you, that will help you, as well as, the due date and all of that kind of stuff. All right. So this is going to be our one major project. It's going to be due on Monday, April 19th. And so we have about a month to work on it. This project is also worth 20% of your overall grade. Do not neglect this project. This can literally make or break you, okay? I cannot stress this enough. If you're, not doing too great on the tests and assignments and you don't do this, you're pretty much gonna fail this class, okay? However, if you do well on this project, and it shouldn't be difficult to do well on this, it can really bump your grade up quite a bit. So just keep that in mind. Once again, do not neglect this project, all right? So, moving on down, I apologize, I'm gonna scroll back and forth here a little bit, or look back and forth. So, the goal of this project is to write a 3-page typed, double-spaced analysis of a work of art of your choosing. Now, when I say 3 pages, I mean 3 full pages, not 2 pages and 3/4 of a page, not 2 pages and a half a page, 3 full pages, typed, double-spaced, okay? This is not that hard. I'm not asking you for a novel. I cannot stress this enough. 3 pages, typed, double-spaced, all right? So, keep that in mind. So, your instructions are going to be to pick a work of art that appeals to you. This can be any work of art from any time frame, any medium, any culture. It doesn't matter. So if you want to do a Renaissance painting, that's fine. If you want to do, 12th century Chinese bronzeware, that's also awesome as well, okay? It is literally up to you. It's whatever work of art you want to do, all right? It could be something that we've talked about in class. It could be something we haven't talked about in class. It really doesn't matter. But if you're struggling to find an artwork, I would suggest that you visit a museum or museum website. Most museums these days have most of their artworks digitized on their websites. I have a list here of some local museums that you can visit, or you can visit their website. I know most of these have most of their collection on their website as well. So we have the Kimball Museum of Art in Fort Worth. This is Ancient and European Masters. We also have the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. It's right next door to the Kimball. And there's also the Modern Museum, or the Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth, which is also right next door to the Kimball as well. Now in Dallas, we have the Dallas Museum of Art, and I like them because they have a little bit of everything. It's not just Europe or America. They really do have quite a bit of stuff. But there's also the Meadows Museum of Spanish Art on the SMU campus in Dallas. It's right there off of 75, right by their football stadium. And they exclusively deal with Spanish art from the Middle Ages to the contemporary. But it's a kind of an interesting museum. I really like them a lot. But then there's also the National Sculpture Center and the Crow Center for Asian Art. I believe the Crow got absorbed into the Perot Museum in Dallas. I'm not sure about that. You might need to look that up as well. But once again, these are not the only museums that you are able to use. If you want to go onto the Louvre website or perhaps the Prado in Madrid or the Hermitage in St. Petersburg. You know, you can do that. And they, once again, most of the major museums out there have their collections digitized, at least to some extent. So you're not limited, you know, to museums in this area. If you're having trouble finding a work of art, you can, you know, branch out and go anywhere if you want. Once again, there's all kinds of options out there for you. All right. Now, once again, don't feel that you have to actually go to a museum if you want to go down that route. You know, once again, with COVID and everything, you know, that's a whole different issue. But once again, you can take the online tours and whatnot, so there shouldn't be any problems there. Now, when you choose your work of art, I want you to include the artist's name, the title of the work, the medium. So was it oil paint? Was it marble? Was it, you know, acrylic, whatever, as well as the date of the artwork. So you need any information that you see accompanying that artwork that relates to title and all of that. You need to have that information, okay? Now, something to keep in mind, I also want you to have a photograph of the work of art in your paper that you are referencing. Now, if you go to a museum and you're looking at it there in person, I would suggest that you ask one of the gallery attendants for permission before you just start clicking photographs, okay? A lot of these paintings that are very old are very light sensitive, so flash photography is kind of detrimental to them. But also sometimes, you know, the work of art isn't owned by that museum. It might be on loan from somewhere else, and that other place has the copyright on it, so they might not let you photograph it then and there. However, if that's the case, you know, just take note of the information, and I'm pretty sure you can find a picture of that work of art online somewhere. Now, when you do look for your picture online, whether you go to a museum or not, I please ask that you get a decent size, decent quality color image. So, you know, if you're talking about the color within your artwork within your analysis paper, but you give me a black and white image in your text, then how do I know what you're talking about? I mean, obviously I can go look that painting up, but please just make it easier and just provide a color image. It's not that difficult. You know, we're going to be submitting all this via email and whatnot, so it's not like you got to print it out or anything. So there's that. But once again, if you do go to a museum, make sure you ask permission before you snap a picture. It really shouldn't be that big of an issue, but once again, better safe than sorry. I would hate for you guys to get kicked out or anything like that. Now, once you have your image and, you know, that you're going to talk about, you have the picture, you have all of the name, title, you know, medium, date, all of that kind of stuff. What I want you to do is write a 3-page typed double-spaced analysis of the work of art that you choose, including your own opinions and perceptions about it. Okay, so I'm going to ask that you get pertinent information from reliable sources, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But I'm also interested in what you think about the artwork, not what, you know, some art historian or art critic thinks of it as well. So, you know, I want you to address both. You know, what do you like about the artwork? What do you hate about it? You know, what does it make you think about? All of these kinds of things, okay? But some things that you can address in your papers are as follows. And once again, I want you to write in complete sentences with paragraphs that are 4 to 5 sentences each, okay? I don't want a big list of bullet points for this. You need to write in complete sentences, all right? So, some things that you can address would be things like, you know, the artwork's medium, what is it made of? The artwork's formal qualities, such as its composition, its use of line, shape, mass, space, light, color, texture, as well as the elements of design, such as unity and variety, balance, emphasis and subordination, directional forces, contrast, repetition and rhythm, scale and proportion, etc. Okay? In addition to that, we can also address When was the artwork created? Obviously, an artwork created in the contemporary time nowadays is going to have a lot more or different connotations than an artwork that was created in Rococo era France, okay? So once again, every artwork is a product of a time period, and I want you to address something along those lines. And once again, this gets into the information that you need to gather about your artwork. So aside from that, we can also talk about when was the artwork created, okay? Or what was the subject of the artwork, I should say. Sorry. But so once again, a Rococo painting that depicts Greek mythology is going to have much different subject matter than, say, like a regionalist painting from America in the 1930s, okay? So the subject matter is going to be very, very different there. But once again, we need to talk about that subject matter. What is it about? What does it mean to you? What do you think it's about? What do the experts think it's about? Etc., 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 okay? So aside from that, we can also address what is the artwork's connection to the culture and time of its creation. So once again, we want to think about those kind of contextual elements. If we remember back to the chapter 5 discussion, Artemisia Gentileschi, she's one of the few female artists from the Baroque period that's really recognized. But that's largely because she was able to overcome the social norms of her time in order to do this endeavor, So once again, that's something that we could talk about in relation to your chosen work of art is, what are the kind of, cultural aspects that are happening at the time of its creation. Additionally, we can also talk about what were the artist's intentions in creating the artwork. So once again, somebody who is creating a work of art that was meant for the Catholic Church in medieval Europe, well, their intention was to get paid by the church to make that, and perhaps some religious reason as well. However, that's very different than, say, Mark Rothko, who is making color field paintings in the 1950s, and they're really much more about his interpersonal turmoil and emotion and all of that kind of stuff. So once again, the artists are coming to that work of art from very different intentions. So we can address those kinds of things. Now, in addition to that, we can also address, what were the artist's intentions in utilizing the formal qualities, elements of design, et cetera, within the artwork as well. So, why did they use, a certain blue, or why, why did Vasily Kandinsky choose to, forego representational, imagery for non-representational abstraction, et cetera, okay? And then once again, address what are your perceptions of the painting? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What do you think it's about? What do you, or how do you interpret, the information that you have read about that work of art into your own perception and everything like that, okay? So once again, there's several things there that you can address. You're not limited to those things, but they're just ideas to get you going, okay? So, what I want you to do, though, is I want you to gather as much information about your artist as well as the artwork that you choose as possible, okay? You can get this information from a variety of sources such as books, online databases, and other resources, such as like museum placard information. If you go to the museum's website, they'll usually have a little, kind of a couple paragraphs about the work of art, the artist, etc. So that would definitely work. All right. Now, I want you to make sure that you cite your sources in Chicago manual style. Okay, this is a way to go about citing the source, and that how you cite it is going to depend on what type of source you have. A website is cited differently than a book versus an article or something like that. So there's all of that. Now, I want you to have at least 3 sources. You must have at least 3 sources. Now, these could be anything. It could be 3 books, 2 books and the museum information, a database, a book and the museum information, etc., etc. There's no limitation there. You can obviously have more than 3 sources. In fact, that's probably going to help you out. But at the very least, you need 3, okay? Now, below here, we can see that I have a web link. So if you're unfamiliar with Chicago Manual Style of Citation on these various sources that you're going to pull, you can go to this website and it will give you different examples of how to cite your individual sources. So it'll have an example of how to cite a book, or how to cite an article, or how to cite, you know, a YouTube video, or what have you. So once again, this is something that you can also use in your further academic careers in other classes as well. So if you're unsure on how to cite a source, you may address this website, or you can ask me. I would be more than willing to help you. And if you don't want to ask me, you can also contact the TCC Writing Lab, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But a list of acceptable sources here on the page. So some information that, or some acceptable places that you can get information about your artwork would be things like museum plaque information, books from the library, you know, library online databases such as JSTOR and ArtStore, and I'll show you those here in a few minutes, etc. You can also use websites from museums as well as online articles, you know, for your sources as well. But Wikipedia is not an acceptable source. It can be changed too easily by anybody, so it is not acceptable. However, if you go to a Wikipedia page and you go to the bottom, they usually cite their sources, and you can definitely use those to help you out as well if you wish. So, but the Wikipedia page itself is not acceptable, okay? You should just know that in academia, you won't be taken seriously if you cite Wikipedia at all. In fact, most professors I've ever known will automatically fail you for doing that. So just don't do it, okay? So Wikipedia is not an acceptable source. Now, below that, you will see that I have a link to the library homepage for TCC. If you go there, and we'll go there in just a second, I will show you how to use the articles and databases, okay? And this is a place where you can get a lot of your information from. Excuse me. Now, if we scroll down just a little further, you see, if you need help with your writing, you can visit the TCC Academic Learning Center and Writing Lab located at the library, or via their website here. And obviously the campus isn't really open right now. However, you can go to their website and you can speak with one of the writing tutors online. Now, I realize that this class is not English composition, okay? And I'm not asking you for a, 1,000-page novel on your work of art, but I want you to write in complete sentences. I want you to write in complete paragraphs, 4 to 5 complete sentences each. I want you to try your best to use proper English. Once again, I don't want to read a bunch of slang and text abbreviations. If I don't know what you're telling me, then, that doesn't bode well for you, okay? So once again, proper English, complete sentences, complete paragraphs. Now, I'm not going to grade you on your grammar or anything like that, so don't worry. But if you're having issues or you're worried about it, talk to the Writing Lab and they can help you out for sure. This is a valuable resource that you have. And this isn't just for this class. You can use this for any class. In fact, I recommend that you have someone else peer review any paper that you write before you submit them. It helps you in the long run, okay? So, below that, you will see that I have a breakdown of our project, of what it should look like. So your finished paper should be 5 pages in length, okay? And I want you to follow this guideline very closely. So page number 1, I want you to put a title page that includes your name, the project title, as well as your section number, okay? Then page 2 through 4 is your typed text. Once again, 3 full pages, typed, double spaced. And page number 5 is where I want you to put your image in color with your artist's information, the name, the title of the work of art, the medium and the dates and everything like that. And I want you to put your cited source list on that page as well. Now, if you go over 5 because of that, that's fine, but you need to have at least 5 pages in your finished project, okay? So, if you have any questions regarding the project, please feel free to ask me, okay? Now, you can email me at any time. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But, if you're having trouble coming up with a work of art, or you don't think that the work of art you want to choose or you want to write about will work for this, send me an email and ask. There's no harm in it. Chances are, that we can work something out. For instance, if you wanted to do a film or something, we could definitely do that. It's just that, I want you to review a film with substance. I don't want you to review some Michael Bay Transformer movie. I want you to review a film that has, some kind of in-depth meaning to it or something like that. Likewise, if you think a work of art is, or, you're unsure about it, we can discuss that. The biggest issue I can think of or that I've had with people in the past is that they choose someone who's very contemporary and there's no written information about them because they're, someone who's 23 years old and making art on Instagram or something. So in those cases, that might not be the person to do. But as long as we can find some kind of information about them or their artwork, it will work, okay? So once again, if you have questions about that, let me know. We can talk about them and everything like that. So from here, I'm going to click out of this. And here I've got the TCC library web page. And so this is the main library web page. They have all kinds of things. But if we come down here, just down into the center here, we can see the TCC catalog, so we can look for books in their repertoire, and it's not just from the Northwest campus. They can actually interloan books from other libraries and things. Obviously, right now, this might be a little bit of an issue, but it's still something that you can look for. You can obviously use public libraries, whatever you want. However, something that public libraries will not have that the TCC library does is articles and databases, which we see here on the right. And this is something that I recommend you guys take full advantage of while you have access to it, because once you're out of college, you will no longer have access to this. And this is literally, thousands of databases with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of academic articles that you can reference for all kinds of things. But let's look at it here. So here we have on top a alphabetical list of databases. If you click it, it comes down and it's all alphabetical. But if you come down, you'll see Artstor here. And Artstor is a pretty good one. This is actually a really good database for finding articles about or images, artist information, like general artist information, like an artist biography, things like that. But if we keep going down, my preferred database for you guys is going to be JSTOR. That's JSTOR. And we see it highlighted right here at the bottom. And if we go to JSTOR, if we click here, hopefully it will load in time, we get this, search bar. And let's search somebody. So let's look up Jacques-Louis David. So Jacques-Louis David. So give it a second here. Well, it didn't work. Anyway, so under normal circumstances, I might have to log in, so sorry about that. But generally speaking, you would type in something there and you would get this huge list of different articles and databases. It's not working for me because I'm not signed in through WebAdvisor right now, so I apologize for that. But once again, normally you would look up and, you know, for Jacques-Louis David or Vincent van Gogh, it would give me literally hundreds of thousands of, you know, reference articles that I could choose from. And if you wanted to be specific, we could sit there and type in the Oath of the Horatii or Starry Night or something like that. And it would also probably bring up thousands of articles on each one of those paintings individually. And vice versa, you know, it can be whatever you want. So this is a very, very good, you know, source for you guys. Now, that being said, once again, I want you to choose whichever painting or, you know, artwork that you want. Doesn't have to be painting. It could be sculpture. It could be decorative, you know, artwork, jewelry, like ancient Egyptian jewelry or something. It can be literally whatever you want. Once again, if you're having doubts about it or you're not sure if it'll work, just let me know. Send me an email. Tell me what you're thinking about, and we can discuss that, okay? Now, I will say that, you know, I've read about 10,000 papers on Starry Night, so, you know, you're not going to win any extra favor with me. I mean, you can certainly do Starry Night if you want to, but you know, I've read so many of that paper, so maybe you can choose something a little bit more out there, if you will. But that's just a small mercy for me. But once again, if you want to do that, that's totally fine. It will totally work. I'm just kind of tired of reading about it. Anyway, that's beside the point. So once again, if you have any questions about this project, let me know. Once again, it's due on April the 19th. So we're going to have about a month to work on it, maybe a little bit over a month, and everything like that. And so once again, you can ask me questions at any time. So there you go. Thanks for joining me.